Welcome to the Political Times, Season 5, Episode 4. Today it's about global politics and more truth pills shall be out today. Things you thought were true, things not really true. Before starting the show, I want to hit the like button and subscribe to my show. Now, as we know, today we're going to talk about does bipartisanship, does it exist in the United States, in the Senate, or anywhere, bipartisanship? And is people finally understand what royalty really stands for under the new explosive allegations? We will talk about them more detailedly. Now let's get started. Now President Joe Biden managed to get his COVID relief bill passed, and most likely it will pass the House once again for the full confirmation. But don't expect any Republican senators or anyone to support, because however, consider, because while Joe Biden have wanted bipartisanship and support from the Republicans don't care about the country anymore. The only thing they care about is about their re-election and deciding whether they stay with Trump or not. And itself is a funny thought. Donald Trump is a man who lost the White House and made his party lose the Senate and the House, all three in one go. Is there a more chronicle disaster than Donald Trump right now? But yet the Republican Party seems to can't get away with it. They have to be with him. The people who want to stay with him, the argument seems to be that he brings votes. Which votes? And the people who want to break away from him says it's time for a new Republican Party. Again, nothing is new with Republicans. They're often known for being who they are really. But as far as Joe Biden is concerned, he will not bother anything at the moment. Long as he can get his agenda passed through Senate and House, those areas will help him to push his agenda through. And it's important that Joe Biden focuses on where it matters. If bipartisanship comes, wonderful, be happy about bipartisanship. If bipartisanship doesn't come, the American people should not suffer for the cause. They shouldn't be. And of course, not only that, the COVID relief will be giving $1,400 checks, childcare, tremendous amount of benefits, and the people can actually put food on the table and can breathe again under these days of the pandemic. And there is no surprise about that. While that's go around, another thing they surpassed was on tougher regulations on law enforcement, preventing things like George Floyd happening once again. And that's pretty good to see. The Democrats are able to pass their agenda. However, the thing is, every agenda that's been passed has been supported by a party line support. Democrats themselves. To get even Democrats, they can't afford. The biggest problem with the system that Democrats going right now, if one Democrat don't vote, that particular bill won't pass. So technically, bipartisanship should exist, not only say for the country, but also bills could fail if even one person from the party does not vote. And that's the reality. Look, there's no doubt Joe Biden will continuously try to look for bipartisanship. He will invite Republicans to the White House once in every single time when a bill comes. But one thing is sure, until 2024 there is no facts. Facts prove until 2024 the Republicans are still the same party like when Trump was president. It's a simple reality. And don't expect the opposition to exist, a weak opposition. Now while that goes around, let's talk about royalty. What does royalty defines you? Style, glamour, money, finances, tremendous history, heritage, national unity. Now those are not my words. Now some of those words belong to Boris Johnson, according to him it's unity. I don't think it's very unification when the history of royalty stands for slaying people's heads off in the days of colonizing and etc. I just seem to find it weird what unification means. But one thing is clear, they bring heritage and a character for the United Kingdom. A character of naiveness, of telling like, oh, racism does not exist in the UK, while they were the ones first to do racism, safely speaking. Now, under the new bombshell accusations made by Prince Harry and Meghan, it's pretty clear that the royalty racism exists. But it's not really a surprise. I'm not surprised that they are concerned about whether black or white, skin color, anything. Because have you ever seen a black king in the British monarchy? Have you? No, you haven't. That is because how could they have black kings when they were slaying heads off of other countries in African nations when they were colonizing? That is the reality. The allegations you heard from them are absolutely true. And even if they were not true, you can't defend British royalty because their reputation was long in tatters in the 90s to everything to right now. The tatters are long gone. That is the reality. They can't be trusted. And the reality is, this proves racism exists. Maybe, of course, the infamous statement was about the concern about the color of the new royal born, whether it's going to be black or white. Now, maybe it's not Queen or Prince Philip said it, but one thing is clear, if anyone dares to talk about a skin color of a person about to be born, even before born, then that person doesn't deserve to exist. Because if color defines race, well, it's really funny. Because it seems that the British seems to ignore. The British people, especially British media, talks about, how, etc., etc. They forget something. The British people don't know racism because racism didn't happen within the UK. They did racism outside. That's why they colonized countries. And that's what they did. Slavery and all were co-created by the British. And unfortunately, the British people didn't know. It's like how slavery and sugar came along. When they knew how sugar was produced, then they were stagnated, then they were disappointed. But until then, they didn't even know how the sugar was made. And that's the reality. In a short and sweet term, the accusations the two royals are accusing is true. British royalty and racism exist. Isolation exists. Everything exists. The reality is we know these things happen. It's really funny. The British people say that the Americans are racists. It seems to be forgotten that who made racism first before accusing others of racism, because Britain have no right to lecture United States on racism when they were the first to do it. This interview proves that point even further and further. And it further proves what American media and British media looks like. It further proves a point. Before I end the video, I want to say this week has been a revelation, really. It's been a revelation. The truth is out about things, what we should consider truth and what we should not consider truth. And bipartisanship doesn't exist because it doesn't. And that's the reality. Racism doesn't have limitations. Whether you're rich or poor, racism goes to the top of the brass, whether it's a royalty or a normal person on the road. And that's the reality. So thank you very much for joining me on the show. Please subscribe to my show and hit the like button. Thank you very much.